presented with the choice of like, okay, well, this is really working for you. Do you double down and just like try to do your best to become the heir apparent to all things contemporary blues? And that didn't sit with us.
We really wanted to kind of return to this roots rock and roll vibe, but to do it in imperfect ways. It's very difficult to actually get rid of that like perfectionist part of ourselves. But I think that we saw that was something that would connect, and I think that our listeners would connect with.
Right now, 'cause when you're moving down the line.
Larkin Poe, welcome to the podcast.
Thank
Rebecca
you.
and Megan.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming to Carter Vintage and being on the show. I have a bunch of stuff I want to dig into today. But I want to start, you just got off the road touring Bloom. Can you tell us about that experience? What was it like?
Oh my gosh, what wasn't it? I feel like the touring process for Bloom has been everything. We made the record at the beginning of 2024, and over the summer of that year, we released singles. And so we had a very long release period for the music. So being able to finally get out and take the songs on the road took a minute. And then once we started touring, we did not stop. Yeah. It was pretty amazing. And for my own process, it was a very unique experience because we started touring just as I found out that I was pregnant. And so the entire Bloom cycle, I was literally blooming before everyone's eyes, getting bigger and bigger, so big.
How did the rider change as it
was really fascinating.
Yeah.
And even, okay, so it's such a journey. I feel like more women need to talk about it, you know.
Tell us about it.
Just the changing mechanics of having a sense, like your proprioception as a human. You're like, oh, I weigh, 120 pounds, whatever. Now suddenly you're gaining weight in ways that you do not anticipate, and trying to run around stage with the baby growing was crazy. And then we took about a 2-month break in the summer for me to have the baby and enter that whole unknowable experience of newborn. Holy moly. The newborn phase was crazy. And then we continued the tour in Europe with the infant in tow. So to answer your question, the rider changed radically once the infant arrived because we realized that he had a dairy allergy. And we're touring in Europe with a language barrier, and in a beautiful country like France where the croissants are just singing to you and they are dripping with butter.
Yeah.
And yeah, my self-discipline in saying no to the dairy on behalf of the child was quite an exercise. In any case, that has nothing to do with music at all, but it was a lot.
Wait, if you eat dairy, does that
if
affects
you're breastfeeding a baby,
there's no filtration system there.
And a lot of people, you know what, it's kind of like choose your own adventure. Like a lot of people will either acknowledge it and like cut dairy out, or you can just put the baby on formula. Like you can kind of do whatever you choose. I decided like, oh, I'm just gonna, seems like maybe be rock and roll to just cut out dairy for a bit. And then I really regretted it.
So rock and roll.
I'm going dairy free, y'all.
Yeah, sick.
Free the dairy.
Maybe the biggest sacrifice as a mother is giving up croissants.
You ain't kidding. You ain't.
I don't think, I wouldn't be strong enough.
No.
But anyway, it was an amazing experience. And I feel like I learned so much about myself. We learned so much about ourselves as a team. You're an aunt, touring with a baby, touring pregnant.
I think we packed a lot of life into this last year. It's felt like 3 years, I think.
Yeah. And did the whole fam tour with you? Like, did your husband tour with you? And
so Tyler, her husband, came along for a part of the tour, and our precious mother came for the entire 6 weeks in Europe.
The MVP of the
Oh
tour.
my goodness.
That's
and
awesome.
she had never toured, and so she's like getting a glimpse into what our lives have been like the last decade.
Did you get her on stage at all?
She wouldn't do it.
She wouldn't jump up?
She wanted to come out and watch a couple of shows, but I do think it sort of threw her for a loop because it's easy to have like an idea of what touring might be like, but then when you're actually in the thick of it, it really was a very sweet and bonding experience with our mom for her to actually walk with us in our shoes for a second.
Yeah, she must
that
be
I'm
so
very,
proud.
very, very grateful for that experience.
This podcast is really a labor of love, and the function is really to share the incredible stories and inspiration to help you along your journey as a musician. If you want to help the show, one of the best ways that you can do it is to click the subscribe button below, leave us a comment, or leave us a like. That helps tell YouTube to spread this to more people like you. In addition to that, we've been thinking about different ways that we can add more value to our community and viewers here. So what we've done is we've created a totally free community where we're adding a bunch of bonuses and extras, things like tablatures from the episodes, behind the scenes content. Like I said, it's totally free. If that's interesting to you, click the link below in the description and we'll see you over there. With that, let's get back into the show.
Well, this is a good entry point. I'm curious, kind of backing up to your beginnings, were your parents musical?
No, I mean, they are huge music lovers, and our mom does sing, and she plays a little bit of piano. But they were always playing music in the household, so music was definitely a part of our daily lives. Now I have a much more appreciation for their musicality because they were playing such a wide range of music, everything from folk to classical music to hard rock. To blues, to folk, like there was nothing that they weren't playing for us growing up, and I cherish the fact that we had that like breadth of language coming up.
And you started as violinists, is that right?
Yeah.
Did you both play violin growing up?
Yeah,
And
classically trained.
Yeah, how was that process for you, and then transitioning into bluegrass?
It was I mean, I'm thankful for the training. Because I think it taught us how to practice and how to learn. And we played violin from age 3-4 years old. So from the ground up, we were learning to read music and we played. I can't say that I play. It's been a minute since I played violin, but it kind of comes back a little bit. But it would take a minute to get fully back to it.
How old were you when you transitioned into bluegrass stuff?
That was our early teens. So we went to a bluegrass festival and we were just blown away by the idea of improvisation coming from being classical kids where you just read the music off the page. The idea that you could create something spontaneously was just otherworldly to us, and we really wanted to be a part of that experience. So we quit our classical lessons cold turkey and picked up banjo.
Why that? Why not just go to fiddle? Why not?
Because we like
That's
a
a good
challenge,
question.
I
Yeah.
think.
Just drop the instruments and like, we're gonna go to banjo. Did you both play banjo?
Let me think. I feel like we're very pragmatic people, and so I feel, and it's been so long that it almost is a struggle to like step back into those shoes. But if I had to make a guess, knowing who we are now, we wanted to be able to be an ensemble. And so we did all decide to differentiate. And so our eldest sister, she was the best violinist among us because she'd been taking lessons for the longest. So there was the
So she
three
got
of
fiddle.
us. So she went from violin to fiddle. I picked up mandolin and banjo. And then you kind of went on the warpath for a while.
I tried banjo. I tried a lot of fretted instruments, and me and frets, no,
It's not the vibe.
it's not the vibe. So I then heard dobro being played and saw it, connected some dots about slide guitar in my head, and that was the end of it. And
That was
never
it.
looked back.
Who was the biggest influence on you for dobro?
Jerry Douglas,
Of course.
of
yeah.
course. I mean,
Yeah.
for everyone.
Yeah.
He totally changed that instrument forever.
And how did you get into it? Like, what was your learning trajectory when you were like, okay, I think I want to play that instrument? Did you take some lessons, or you just get one and mess around?
I had an incredible teacher for a couple of months in the very, very beginning, Lou Wamp in Chattanooga. He's an incredible dobro player. So I took from him for a few months, but really I think it was just listening to a lot of Jerry Douglas, and I learned every solo that he ever played on every record that I could find, and that was really my education.
And at what point did you transition to lap steel? Or I guess you kind of play both, obviously, but
This was a little farther in. This was when we started Larkin Poe, so that was like 2010. In the first couple of years of Larkin Poe, I was dabbling with the lap steel because, we grew up listening to a lot of rock and roll music, and we wanted to bring those influences in. So we picked up electric instruments. So the lap steel is just what made sense for me.
Additionally, we've been thinking about cool ways that we can add more value to our community here. And our nerdy team over here has come up with a really cool new software tool for you. Basically, it's a slow down and looping tool for all of the platforms that you learn guitar on. It lives in your browser on top of YouTube and Instagram, and it allows you to slow things down, loop different sections so you can really focus and learn things from all of these videos. It's a super cool tool. I use it every single day myself, and we want to give it to you as the viewer for free. So all you need to do is click the link below, register for that, install it on your computer, and that is our gift to you. So with that, we'll get back into the episode.
Yeah, I was listening back through your catalog over the last week in preparation for this, and one of the cool things that I noticed is like you really feel that transition from bluegrass or like almost like newgrass, like the record that you made with Tom Hell is like you can hear the early glimpse of the blues rock thing happening, and it's got this sort of Americana bluegrass, but also interesting harmony stuff happening, and then it evolves from there. What was that process like, kind of coming out of the bluegrass world and choosing this like harder, distorted electric vibe for Larkin Poe?
I think it's been so long that it's hard to go back, and like I feel like so much of the time you're just kind of living your life moment by moment. But there was something in us, I think, that wanted to be a little obstinate against expectation, what people might anticipate us to play. Having grown up in the dulcet tones of bluegrass, where it's about pulling beautiful tone out of acoustic instruments, that almost felt like it was going to be what people would expect us to stay in, more of that folk Americana lane. So I think stepping in front of amplifiers, dialing up some distortion, at that point in our lives felt very rebellious. Yeah. And it took a minute also to get used to it as well, which I think we love a challenge. We like pushing our edges. I think we get complacent very quickly. Like we're like, oh, how can we make this?
We don't get complacent very quickly.
So I do think being able to just make music that felt a little uglier was good for our souls. Yeah. But again, now I hear that it was sort of like bell bottoms, like everything kind of comes back in style. And so there is something very nostalgic for us in the last 5 years of returning to the sound of our childhood, the sound of our preteens.
You're saying there's a bluegrass record coming out soon?
Oh, dude, hell yeah. Yeah, truly. I think that would be such a joy for us to make. And we do have plans. And I think that actually has been the guiding light as to our motivations for making some of the acoustic companion records that we've made in the last couple of years, where we'll make a record and then we'll reimagine the songs in more of an acoustic fashion. And that's just fun. It's just fun to be able to envision yourself wearing different outfits, in the same way that you just change your wardrobe. It's like, oh, let's rearrange these songs. Let them sound different.
Yeah. In the early days, you signed to a label, right? Restoration Hardware?
Oh my goodness, you really, went back.
I went down the rabbit hole. Yeah.
That gritty.
What was that process like for you? Originally
what was that like, Megan?
Yeah.
They were awesome, actually. That sounds like I'm being disrespectful. They were so kind.
They really, really wanted to support us in the ways that they could. So I applaud them for that. They really did right by us. But I do think that whole process taught us how much we wanted to just make our own decisions and be able to move at our own pace. So really, I think having some experience with signing with major labels, even in the past, when we were the Lovell sisters, we did sign to a Disney label, and they also let us out of that deal because we realized very quickly, we wanted to be able to write our own songs, and we didn't want to be pushed through some of the mechanisms that go along with majors.
I mean, most people don't have the experience of doing that. What does that look like? What are the machinations of a label that make it unpleasant for the artist?
At that time, I think that there was, they envisioned us as being possibly the next Chicks. And we really wanted to write our own songs, and they wanted to put us with songwriters. And and having a producer who kind of decided the sound instead of us deciding the sound.
Yeah.
And
which I guess looking back in hindsight wouldn't have been the most inappropriate thing, because when you're working with childhood talent, because at that point in time we would have been 14, 15 years old. We're not the greatest songwriters. We have no idea what it is that we wanted to say. but we knew that the things that they might have wanted us to say were not the things that we wanted to go on record as having said. So ultimately, I think we then kicked off like a 15-year journey of just making a bunch of really public, like, I won't say mistakes, but like, let's try going here. Let's try going here. Shall we go there? Let's try this way. And that is what's now on record. And I love it because at least we were doing it under our own vision.
Yeah.
And again, I think that every artist has a unique journey, and there are some folks who've signed to majors, and it's totally appropriate. For us, the ways in which we were raised, the stories that we were telling ourselves from a very young age about doing it ourselves and digging deep and like finding the grit to wear all of the hats, like that's what we want to do. And so it just made sense for us to be indie. And thus, in 2017, we had kind of hit this unique point in time where we'd started Larkin Poe. We were a few years in. We weren't making money as Larkin Poe. We were able to pay our bills by being side guys in other touring enterprises. And we realized the rubber was hitting the road of, okay, what are we gonna do to make this work? And it was at that point that we started our label in 17 and started self-producing our records. And then suddenly we caught a wave because I think we were just old enough and we had just enough perspective on ourselves as artists to be able to, like turn a new turn, as it were.
What did you see at that moment? You said you had the perspective on yourselves as artists. What did you see? What was the take that you feel like maybe the labels didn't see?
Personally, I actually just think it was envisioning ourselves more as songwriters. And I'd be actually very curious to hear what you would have to say, because that's a very chunky thing for me to have just said. But can you dig into what you feel before I start to unpack that?
I do. I think because it's something we're still working on, which is I think that we see that we could be something a little less refined. That there's a certain polish that was where the shine was wearing off of it for us. That we really wanted to kind of return to this roots rock and roll vibe, but to do it in imperfect ways, which coming from a bluegrass background and coming from a classical background, it's very difficult to actually get rid of that like perfectionist part of ourselves. But I think that we saw that was something that would connect. We would connect very deeply, and I think that our listeners would connect with.
Yeah. And to that end, when I say viewing ourselves more as songwriters, like there is also, I think for my own journey as a young songwriter, having that perfectionistic tendency, and to making art from a scarcity mindset, where I think, I don't know if this could connect with other songwriters out there who are working on their craft, but you put an idea on the page and you're like, all right, it's there. And it may be the last idea that I ever have. I don't want to tweak with it because I don't know how many more ideas I'm gonna have. That sense of preciousness about your art, like if you can just relax and be like, no, it keeps flowing. Like I keep breathing, I keep waking up every day until you don't. You know what I mean? Like life forces creativity and it continues to flow. And so being able as songwriters and producers to unbraid some of our own like uptightness, the desire to be perfectionistic, and also have a little bit more faith in the creative process of like, hey, all right, so we wrote a song, let's mess with it. We can change it, we can make it better. It doesn't have to be set in stone. That I think just the letting go a little bit was the moment of change for Larkin Poe, and allowing us to have a bit more fun with the records and to not take ourselves as seriously, I think.
What does the team look like? How do you build a team around your creativity and know who to put in the right seats and whatnot?
Lots of trial and error for us.
Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely, yeah. So we have a pretty small team. Like we have a couple of managers, and they have been very supportive of us in starting a record label, which means that they've really dove in with us to figure out how we put together a team of people to get the album out there. Because a record label does kind of take over a lot of the nuts and bolts of how your music gets into people's hands. And so we, along with our small team, have really figured out ways to do it and really just bring the right people into the right spots, which has taken time. I mean, I think it's taken a number of years to find those sorts of partners. And I'm very proud of our team for kind of getting there.
Yeah, for being willing to go on that journey with us. And I have to say too, like in recent years, Megan started designing a lot of our merch.
Cool.
Being able to have the fingerprints of who we are as people on the people who we trust to do promo for us, the people who know us well enough to be able to design a run of merch, the people who know us well enough to help us design our production. That our dream is always to have long-standing relationships. Like we've been working together now since we were like literally born. Like we started projecting when we were kids together. It feels somewhat fated that we were to work together. So there is, I think, a lot of power in familiarity when it comes to something that's ever-changing like art, to have those hallmarks, the people that continue to be with you in the room. But I do think a lot of trial and error as well. And even from like the sonic side, we made a few records with producers in history past. And that wasn't the right move for an artist like us. So being able to learn like, okay, we don't need people in the control room with us. We want to be left alone there. However, when it comes to, you know, our agents who book the tours and managers who are helping present relationships for who we should be distributed by in Japan and who's going to be the point person in Tokyo, who's going to speak for the record and advocate for Larkin Poe, being able to let everyone be in their lane and to have that trust to allow people to go out and do their best work on behalf of this like ever-changing brand of Larkin Poe. It's really cool. It's a cool dance to be in with a lot of people at this point. And by a lot, I mean like 25 people or, you know, like, and that's like with all of our extended partners in Australia and Europe and whatever.
Where did you learn all of the mechanics of running a successful career? Like, how did you know that we need a distribution partner in Japan that's going to represent the brand? Like, these are things that when you're just learning the mandolin or the violin as a kid, that doesn't cross your radar. Yeah, where did this come into your world?
A lot of trial and error. Again, I know that keeps coming up, but you don't know what you don't know. And along the way, sometimes you have like a blinding glimpse of the obvious, like, oh, this is part of the process. We, you know, a lot of the like mechanics of it, our managers do help us a lot with that part. And we anything creative, we definitely take the reins on, you know, from the mixing, mastering, producing, creating the merch lines, making the videos, like any of that, we are definitely the managers of. But some of the, like, when it comes to emailing a distribution partner about the dates of when the record needs to come out, some of that we do leave to our managers. And I'm so thankful to be able to have people who can juggle a lot of balls simultaneously. That's really helpful to have, because we are definitely creatives.
Oh, for sure. And bless us. Because I was thinking as well, like, I think the fact that we've had such a slow grind, like we've been doing this now for the better part of, I mean, how professionally, what is the start date for us? Like 05 or before?
I think we could say 05.
So early aughts, you know?
Yeah.
That we were never the kind of band that was going to become so successful so quickly that people would bet on you and jump in with you and say like, hey, we'll wear that hat for you. So I think even from a young age, we felt like, okay, if it's going to get done,
we're going to do it.
We're going to do it. And so you do have more of an appreciation for some of the unsexy part of like, okay, well, who's going to stuff the CD into the envelope? And in the beginning, that was us. We did do a lot of stuff that I think was very sweet. And I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe that we literally, you know, sourced cardboard sleeves on Etsy to put our record in and then made a custom stamp to stamp it. Not scalable, very sweet, but you then do understand, like when we're talking about allowing our managers to do what they do well and to find those right relationships, it's like we appreciate the fact that we've been on tour now for, you know, again, since the early aughts, And it's only been in the last 5 or 6 years that we've been able to afford to tour in a bus. And even though a bus is not the most glamorous way in which to move across the country, whenever it comes to light that you cannot take a shit on a bus, oh my God. You can bleep that out. I don't know how you feel about
No,
language.
it's staying in. That's staying in.
But like, you appreciate it
Yeah.
because you've done the alternatives.
Mm-hmm.
So that, I think, really is like the theme of 2026. It's just a lot of gratitude. It's a lot of like, man, we're still here doing it. And we still, because I think we've had a very diverse experience within this broad industry of making music. It's not just making music. It's kind of a choose your own adventure, truly. You know, you can be as entrepreneurial as you would like to be with your enterprise. And that's really special. We've had a good time.
I'm curious about sort of this idea of band as a brand, and what seems so core to your story is authenticity. It's like you chose to go independent because you got to make all your own creative choices, and you're interacting with a market. So you have to like create something that interfaces with that market where it's palatable and people understand it. How often do you run into the dissonance between those two things, being like representing yourself fully as who you are and needing to package something that like is consumable for people?
Oh, great question.
It is a
I
really
appreciate that.
It's a really great question, and certainly one that we're always trying to figure out, because it's important to us to be authentic and to make sure that what people are seeing and getting is real, because we certainly feel a lot of dissonance sometimes with the idea of social media and selling yourself and selling our relationship, because you know, we are sisters. Like, it's a very real relationship, but also it's something that's being put up on a stage and people are consuming, which is, it can be a little bit weird to think about. But I think that we just kind of try and keep it real. Like, we really love what we do. We feel really thankful and grateful for the relationships that we're able to have with our listeners and people, and hear people's story and be a small part of their lives. Like, that's at the center. Like, the gratefulness for that is at the center. And I think that people can feel that, and it makes it a lot easier to go through this whole process with that nugget at the center.
I also feel grateful too for Bloom, because I do think it represents that shift as well of, as you're speaking to like social media, the fact that you're getting real-time feedback from when you post a piece of content, well, what's performing, and you have access to the analytics, and you can kind of go hog wild with the analytics, and don't even get us started, because it can be really damaging to your psyche, and it can also mess with that nugget at core of authenticity, because you don't want to water down what it is that you do. That's why we small batch. That's why, like, we're a small batch mentality type band, and I love that about us.
What do you mean by that?
That we're comfortable being like a single serving. Like, we don't need to have 1 million fans. It's as long as we have 50 who really believe in it.
Yeah.
And I think that really is a huge shift to make, because you understand that there is compromise in all things. And there is something about, you know, certain zeitgeist artists who come along at a certain time and they make no compromises and they just take off, and it's who they are at their core, and it's awesome. Like, the first artist that comes to my mind who I adore is Billy Strings, and he's doing what comes naturally to him, and it's a zeitgeist, and it connected. And I'm sure, I don't know Billy hugely personally, like, we never had conversations, but it seems to me that he has built a team around him that they're not asking him to compromise. It's just connecting.
Just,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so for an artist like us, it's a little bit of a different journey, because we've been similarly not making a lot of compromises, but we're not playing arenas or stadiums. And we're also very comfortable with that, because we do have a core of people who, I can't tell you how many times we've been through Cologne or Paris, and you see, all right, 25 people, 30, 50 faces that you recognize over the course of a decade and a half. And those are the people that live and breathe to support whatever it is that we're doing. And there's something so special about it that keeps me from wanting to dive too much into the analytics. By the same token, though, I think that we're smart cookies, and you can, you know, test the wind and see what's happening. And the fact that we were so thoroughly embraced in the blues community a few years back, that there was, I could sense this shift in our creative process a few years ago of making records that were more contemporary blues than the records that we're making now. And of course, we won a Grammy for a contemporary blues record, which was such an honor on so many levels. And there came a point where Megan and I think we hit this little crossroads, to speak in metaphor. There perhaps, we're not sure if there was a devil there or not. I don't know. I'm sure we'll live to see. We'll live to tell the tale. Who knows? But we were presented with the choice of like, okay, well, this is really working for you. Do you double down and just like try to do your best to become the heir apparent to all things contemporary blues? And that didn't sit with us, because we grew up playing bluegrass. We grew up playing a lot of different source musics. There's a lot of interests that we have as songwriters that we want to incorporate. And so we kind of took a little bit of a left turn and made this record Bloom, which is now nominated for an Americana Grammy, which is clearly they run alongside, but worlds apart from a lot of people's perspective. And that was, in a lot of ways, like a fairly dangerous thing to have done for the analytics. But again, to be able to be authentic, that is what takes the cake for us. And so we'll be a little bit fearless about it and just kind of make what it is that we feel compelled to make.
Did you feel like the contemporary blues record was a deliberate move, where you're like, if we go down this lane, there's like this sort of level of success or this thing that we want to achieve, or was it happenstance?
I think there was an element. I think by the time, because it was, which record won the Grammy? Oh my God.
It's Blood Harmony. I think that it came from writing, from our writing perspective, because at that time I think we were writing from riffs, guitar riffs, and that was like leading us down this like certain lane kind of over and over again. We were like brought back to kind of these these lyrics that are a little like in the box for that genre. With Bloom, we were like wanted to take those guardrails away, so we started writing from lyrics first, and we were having conversations, and then the lyrics had to make the music. And so the music changed because the lyrics were changing.
Yeah. Did you write most of the songs together or independently?
Yeah.
What was that
And
like?
that was another change, is that in records past, starting from the riffs, we would work from titles. We would be like, all right, well, what little nugget can we just build together? And we would build ideas separately and then bring them together and workshop in the studio. And again, we wanted this record, Bloom, this new era, to be so much more conversational, because we wanted to see more of ourselves in our art. Because there is a temptation, I think, within the blues, like you're speaking to, like lyrically, a lot of metaphor, a lot of iconography, a lot of symbolism, where I think a person's humanity can get a little bit, there's an opacity there that you're not quite seeing the person, you're hearing them through the filter of the blues, which is, good Lord, I love a blues record. But at that point for us, when we were approaching our songwriting, we're like, hey, we're
kind of writing from the point of view of characters.
And that's not who we are. Like I'm very guilty. I love writing like a female empowerment song where I'm like, I'm kicking down the door and I'm badass and I'm drinking, I'm partying, I'm like, actually,
bulletproof.
I'm like, I'm learning how to crochet.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm no
doing
longer
my
eating
yoga.
croissants.
I'm going dairy-free right now. I'm feeding my baby. Like some of these things were just like, okay, like we're kind of square. Like it's like a round, square, whatever the saying is, the pagan. In any case, like it just, the dots were no longer connecting. And so I think it took kind of shaking up the apple cart, and that was really fun. And it really served us, that I think we're curious to see now in our early to mid 30s where it's going to take us next,
Yeah. Well, on that note, maybe we can take a break to play a tune.
Let's do it. Yes. Cool. Where would you like to start in terms of tune?
Maybe a little bit.
Okay, that feels appropriate. So this is one of the songs that really was born of conversation about the idea of success and how we engage with and determine, the scale of success. Like, what does it look like? How big does it need to be? How shiny does it need to be? And that's the impetus for the song, which is called Little Bit. Ready?
Why would I want to change my life? Why is it new is always better? If I looked in the mirror, would I recognize this winter you'd have me stitched together? Not ashamed of what I'm not. I'm a long ways from the top, and that's okay, 'cause I want just a little bit, little dream, little plan, little rock and roll band, little different. It's a small world. I don't want to think big, keep the things I need on a very short list. What do you keep looking for? More ain't always more than a little bit, more than a little bit. I'm gonna walk a little lighter. I won't let nothing weigh me down, 'cause I know that I could climb higher and higher, but I'm rich right here, right now. 'Cause when you're moving down the line, you can't put a price on peace of mind, and that's okay, 'cause I want just a little bit, little dream, little plan, little rock and roll band, little different. It's a small world. I don't want to think big, keep the things I need on a very short list. What do you keep looking for? More ain't always more than a little bit, more than a little bit, and a little bit more than a little bit, yeah. As the years go flying by, no, we ain't got a lot of time, but that's okay, 'cause I want just a little bit, little dream, little plan, little rock and roll band, little different. It's a small world. I don't want to think big, got all I need. It don't get better than this. What do you keep looking for? More ain't always more. What do you keep looking for? More ain't always more. What do you keep looking for? More ain't always more.
We've been playing that song on banjo. I've been playing that song on banjo for the last like 3 months, so this feels so different. It's fun.
Thanks
I
for
love
working
it.
on the acoustic. That's so awesome. Beautiful song.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing. One thing I'm curious about is there's this theme around competency crisis happening in music right now, where because of AI and because there are all these tools. People have started to step away from their craft, these instruments that you play. I watched something on your Instagram recently where you played this mandolin piece, or you were sort of maybe warming up on mandolin, and you played this just like absolutely shredding, quasi bluegrass, quasi classical thing, and then you were sort of like, you gave this cheeky look where you're like, that was okay, and it was amazing, and I wonder, there's a question in here, which is, you clearly have spent so many thousands of hours cultivating craft. What do you see in the future for instrumentalists and musicians, especially as AI starts to come online? Are there, how do you reason about that, and how do you think about this competency crisis?
I think AI can't play perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I think AI cannot do, and I think that's something that we love, the idea of limitations on oneself for introducing the humanity of soul.
Yeah.
And that's what blues music does so well, is it like speaks to this otherworldly musicality that just touches a nerve.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to delve more into that.
Yeah.
Bringing in the imperfect into our own playing, which just goes against that whole perfectionism thing that we're all striving for. It's hard to unbraid, but so worth it.
Yeah.
Which is funny because that is clearly what I was demonstrating in that social media clip, where I was like, and I picked that little clip. Like, I'd played it a couple of times, and there was something about the perfectionistic side of me, to speak to that little piece of social media you're talking about, where I play something and I'm like, meh. Like, that is so classically, like, I think that's why AI does feel so scary, is because we do aim for that perfection, that there is a side of, especially for us as children of the 90s, having grown up listening to records on radio that were auto-tuned and pinched and sliced and diced and tweaked and time-aligned and all the things in order to create music that actually is like a machine, that it's as perfect as a machine could make a duplicate Nike again and again and again and again.
Right.
And I do think that there is a desire for that. We all want to like look like we've got it together all the time, and step out of the house with your hair done, and an outfit that says something about who you are, and like all of these things, like the intangibles that make humans desire to be impressive to each other. And as you're saying, increasingly, I couldn't care less about in the right moments, when I've got it together a little bit more in my brain, or I'm on the same page with myself about a highly technical riff. I really want to hear songs. I really want to hear people's stories. I really want to see the reflection of the human experience from one human to another. That is, I think, where the mojo really is. And where life becomes worth living, when you realize, oh yeah, all of these instincts that I don't even know where I learned them, they're not really instinctual. I'm gonna lay those aside. I don't need to be perfect. I don't need to play this at 125 BPM. I would much rather be honest with it.
Yeah.
So thank God for songwriting, because that really has become, I think, one of my greatest, source of solace as an adult.
Mm-hmm. What is your relationship to craft now? Do you practice regularly? Like, how do you relate to that?
See, this is so fascinating to me, because I say all that, and then I'm the person that is constantly driven to try and practice and get better at guitar, because I have imposter syndrome as a guitarist and as a musician. and by contrast, my sister is is such an intuitive player, and I think when you're on the same page with yourself, you're such a monster, because you allow yourself to just be one with your instrument. She'll be like,
on a good day,
she'll be like, I don't need to do anything fancy. I'm just gonna tell you how I feel in my guitarmanship. And that's what I'm trying to seek constantly, like your little Zen shaman approach to being with your instrument.
Oh,
it's
that's
really cool.
when it's magical to me. It's like if you can get rid of the thought process behind the reasons why you're playing, but it's very difficult to to get rid of the thoughts in your head. But if you're thinking, you're stinking.
If you're thinking, you're stinking. How do you do that? How do you get around it?
It's like a meditation. It's like
Yeah.
removing the thought from your head if you can, and just exist,
Yeah.
especially on stage. I haven't really accomplished that well in the studio yet, because you're under a microscope, and I'm like,
Everything has to be
so intensely aware of what I'm doing. That would be my goal for this year, to try and figure out how to become zen in the studio, because I found it on stage every now and again, and
Yeah.
it's incredible.
transcendent.
So we
is.
must embrace the cognitive dissonance. That is, you got to learn how to play your instrument, but you got to like let it be for the love of the instrument, not because your ego is involved in wanting to play a fast riff. Like
Right.
you want to be able to know enough on your instrument to be able to be yourself as a player.
Yeah.
And that's so much easier said than done. Like, Rebecca, how do we apply this sage advice that you just spat out? You know, it's ridiculous.
It's so true. Yeah. I sort of see it as you practice to get the facility so that when the moment comes, you're not limited by the technique, and you can get the idea out. But that's not the point. The point is not to just be facile for the sake of it. It's an expressive tool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it sounds like you do practice, or to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And when you're practicing now, like what are you listening to? What are you practicing? What are you shedding?
For me on mandolin, I go back and I work on fiddle tunes and stuff from my teens. Competition pieces that I used to play.
Yeah.
Because there is so much to relearn on records like Strength in Numbers. Any of the Bailiff, like Acoustic Planet. Like I can't get enough of these records.
Incredible.
Slide Rule, Jerry Douglas. Going back and relearning some of those melodies is very comforting to me as a player. And it can be like such a great exercise. On the guitar, I still don't have a really great practice regimen because I've always been a little bit left-footed on the guitar. I feel I came to electric fairly late, so I feel like I'm always kind of trying to square up how I feel about being predominantly what I would consider an acoustic player, but I play electric most of the time now. So it's kind of a fun thing to be like, well, how do I keep finding my own voice? How do I do that? So I'm still kind of working on that for myself as an electric guitarist.
One of my favorite things is, learning other people's songs, other people's riffs, and the two of us, we'll learn songs together. And it teaches you so much about your own voice too, because it's like you take somebody else's work, but then you have to figure out how it fits within your own vocabulary and how you're going to play that riff. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is just to learn other people's stuff.
Our little YouTube cover series was like has been such a cool thing to do together. It's like it's when we play. I feel like when you and I get to sit down, play as in like play like little kids. Like we're playing
Like
with
a sandbox.
where it's like, okay, here's a song that was played by, here's a REO Speedwagon song that was played by, 10 people in the studio, and how do we do it with just the two of us? What parts, how are we going to divide and conquer this song and still make it sound like the song, but also like a Larkin Poe song? It's really fun.
It's great.
Yeah.
Really fun.
Yeah. That series is called Tip of the Hat.
Yes.
That series really, it seems like that was a huge catalyst for a lot of your growth and finding more people that really resonate with what you make. What did you learn about the release process and the process of connecting with an audience through making those videos, especially through the early pandemic?
Yeah. Oof.
It taught us, I think, a lot about how our own voice, oddly enough, because you wouldn't think that learning other people's songs would teach you about yourself, but I do think that learning people's songs over and over and having to interpret it with just two people, because at this point we've done hundreds, that taught us how to build the bones of Larkin Poe. I think that's the biggest gift that series gave. And then also, of course, people love covers, and they love covers reinterpreted, and we're able to take a lot of generally sung by males, like a lot of songs within like the blues rock and southern rock community it's a male dominated field, so I think that it's very interesting to hear these songs approached by women, and to have it kind of flipped on its head. That I think has brought a lot of people to us in a cool way.
Yeah. I read somewhere that you had mentioned learning a lot about stage performance from Elvis Costello. Is that accurate?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about what you learned from Elvis in terms of performing and building a show?
I think learning from Elvis and then having the courage to actually enact the skills that you've learned, therein lies the difficulty, because Elvis Costello is one of the most dangerous performers that I've ever been on stage with. Like, he is highly flammable on stage, this dude, because you don't know what he's going to do next. He is deep enough in his career, and this is us speaking, and he's one of our greatest idols. So to be able to be on stage with him, just like base
incredible.
level, is such an unreal experience.
Yeah.
But he will do things you don't anticipate. He won't care about the consequences. He will do what he is moved to do in the moment. And that, there is so much power in that, because it speaks to this whole conversation that we're having about this concept of human perfection and wanting to do things again and again to where you figure it out, and there's consistency, and you know what's coming, and you can do it well, and
Control.
And he's like, seeking control. And he's like, let's throw the wrench into it right now, and not just one. I'm going to do a wrench here and there, and then we're going to see what happens.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've learned, is that being able to be spontaneous on stage, that's what people want. Like, that's why there's something and that's what I want too. That's why I would much rather go to a live show than sit at home and watch Netflix, because you push play and pause on Netflix and it's still going to be the same story.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. What's an example of something he would do that would throw a wrench in things in a live show?
For us, or what would Elvis do, or what would we do?
Of both, actually.
Oh, well, we'd be on stage and be like, all right, we're going to kick into this song, and we've never played the song before. He'd be like, all right,
And
this
sometimes
song.
he wouldn't even give us a heads up. Sometimes the song would just morph into a different song.
You just go for it. And he would have the faith that we would be able to follow him, and we would be able to have the facility to follow him, and that's what was so cool. And then we're all elated on stage, and he's like,
It was amazing to have an artist of his caliber trust me enough to do that. That gave me also faith in myself. Like, oh, he trusts me to do this, so I better follow through and have the trust in myself. He also is one of the most musically knowledgeable people I've ever met. He's like a music historian. Wow. He can speak at length about the history of music and encourage us to kind of go back and do our research and learn about the blues greats. So we owe a lot to him in returning to kind of like the roots of music. Yeah,
that's so cool. Any fun rabbit holes there that you explored in going back into the depths of blues?
Specifically, so like he gave us a box set, a DVD box set. It weighed 8 pounds and so much plastic, of this random performance series that happened in Germany in like the 80s, and it's all of the blues greats, you know, from Muddy to Wolf and all these guys that were there, and hours of performance footage that he was like, you guys need to watch this. If you're toying around with understanding the roots of American music, this is your education. And the fact that he, one, knew about it, two, found out that you could buy like a DVD version of it and then bought it and gave it to us. And that's like a prized possession, you know? During the pandemic, I actually went and procured a little portable DVD player so I could I bought like a secondhand elliptical, which I insisted on calling the treadmill just to annoy my husband. It was clearly like a really cheap ass elliptical off Craigslist. And so I'd be on this elliptical like in my disgusting basement, where it was the only place that I could fit it, watching these DVDs like for hours on end. It was awesome, you know?
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love it. I am curious about, there are these mountains that musicians aim to climb, and then sometimes you summit the mountain. Grammy winning is one of them. How do you, once you win a Grammy, how do you then approach the writing of Bloom when you're like, oh shit, we just did this thing, and I guess that was one of the things we were trying to achieve. What next? How do you answer the what next question?
There's always something new to discover about oneself, and that's what keeps us coming back for more. And I think if you're just looking inward, the external stuff doesn't matter quite as much. Obviously it was so wonderful to win the Grammy, and definitely affirming. And for us, we just felt like it was like a little signpost that we were like on the right path. But other than that, it doesn't shift our dynamic as to what we're gonna do and creatively, because I think we're trying to make something that feels real to us, and what is real is constantly changing.
Yeah.
And a little insider baseball too. We actually had written Bloom before we knew we'd won the Grammy.
Oh,
So
wow.
actually, as it turns out too, this will be the first time that we write a record after having known that Bloom got a Grammy. So that should be an interesting turn of events.
So we'll
Wow.
let you know.
Yeah.
We'll let you know what
Enough
we discover.
time has passed.
Yeah.
Because it was very fortuitous timing for us actually, because we received news of the nomination and we'd already started writing.
Wow.
And then we finished writing for Bloom.
Yeah.
And then we went out to the Grammys and then won the Grammy. And we were like, well, this is interesting because we just made a whole nother record that's very different from the record. It was the record.
Yeah.
And we sort of like, we're like,
Yeah.
oh, we're making our left turn. We're like, oh,
And now
well,
we're
we're
going.
committed now.
Yeah, we're
we
in.
got this baby locked and loaded. So let's see what the people think. So it'll be interesting to write this next record now.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah.
Do you feel like this cycle of writing, recording, touring, do you see it in these distinct seasons? Or are you writing while you're touring and kind of trying to interleave the different kind of modes of creativity?
I feel like we information gather while we're touring. And I feel like we're seeking experience, like we're seeking new insights. Because there is something that is simultaneously like so natural about making record after record after record. Because we've made now, 15 records or something in our career.
Yeah.
And it's always a little bit scary because you're like, oh man, like, what am I gonna say? And at the same time, it always seems to coalesce. That again, if you just lean into this concept of flow and be like, it's gonna come. Whatever we need to say will come to us.
Yeah.
Then it just happens. But typically we do approach touring, record making, and writing as distinct phases.
Yeah,
It's
we're
like-
kind of goal oriented. Like we tend to just write before we go in the studio.
Well, also I feel like we have our short-term memories are so short, or not memory, but like we fall in and out of love with material quickly because we're a live band predominantly.
Yeah.
And we've never had to be the kind of band where it's like, all right, well, you made a record, now you're gonna go and tour that record for 3 years because we're gonna need to amass
Or you
more
have a hit
funds.
song and you must play this
Exactly.
Yeah.
every time.
Are there any songs where you're like, I really don't want to play this again?
We just don't play it, and people get mad at us. They'll be like, "This song from 12 years ago, please!" Like it's my.
But we don't have a
anthem.
specific song that's like people would be really upset if we didn't play it.
What's the
that's-
song that people request the most that you're like, not this time?
Actually, interestingly, it would be a song called "Mad as a Hatter," and we love to do it for people because it is a song that has been a very important conversation starter about mental illness.
But sometimes we won't even play that one.
It's true. That is true. We'll be a little bit obstinate because if it doesn't feel like the right thing, if it feels like it's going to make us jump into a time capsule on stage, then we won't do it. Because
Yeah.
that's part of it, is that you do have these distinct moments in time when you make songs, and it's sometimes hard to reaccess that mental terrain
Yeah.
when you're literally 12 or 15 years beyond. Like I have so much respect for artists who are able to authentically do that. Like we've toured with a great number of artists who have hit after hit after hit,
Yeah.
and they are able to reimagine those songs and keep them fresh and still do them, and it doesn't feel forced. But for us, I think that we have cultivated a career of being like, well, we kind of like at this point, we love not having hits, and what would we do if we had a hit? I don't think we're ever going to have a hit.
Play the same
Right.
tunes over and over again. Yeah, I suppose that ends up being a battle that artists have to fight. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm sure John Mayer does not want to play Your Body is a Wonderland for the next 25 years. Maybe he does. Maybe it's
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure I trust every artist to navigate that for themselves, but I can imagine that it would be a fraught one
Yeah.
for some artists.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Super interesting. I'm curious, there's a bunch of different directions I want to go in next, but I'm curious what do you want to say next? What's the next chapter for you in terms of your creativity? What's the next record about? How do you spin up that creative engine to go into this next record?
What do you say?
We've been having a lot of conversations about this already, and I think that motherhood has definitely changed the perspective on a lot of things. You know, I've been watching her go through that, and kind of being a person on the sidelines watching that happen has changed my perspective about life. I think that we're talking a lot about the duality of circumstance, because there's always the silver lining, but then there's always the dark thunderstorm within every situation, every joy, every gift. There's flip sides, and I think that's kind of intriguing us right now, and we want to write from that perspective. About birth and decay and everything that comes with it, because Bloom was a very, very positive record. Yeah, because it was looking at situations and trying to find the good always. Yeah, but sometimes you don't have to do that as well. I think we want to write from that perspective.
Yeah, are there any themes in particular around that duality that feel important to you right now?
I think as it relates to being an independent artist and calling the shots, that is, I think we have built a culture between my sister and I, and it's so rich and it's so fun that we can pivot and do basically whatever we want whenever we want. Like we, you know, a few weeks ahead of the Bloom tour decided that we wanted to make this zine. And it's like a thing of the 90s, where like an accompanying book to the album, the making of, and we'd taken a bunch of Polaroids. And so Megan went on her computer, and I had a newborn, so I was a little bit, my limitations were there. And she just put together this whole, zine to accompany the record, and we figured out how to, where we're gonna manufacture it, and we manufactured some copies, and then it's like, boom. 2 weeks later, we've got a new merch item that tells the story of the making of. And it was interesting because typically I would be in the thick of that with my sister, but because I had a newborn, my options were very limited on how I was allocating my time. So I think for me, that theme is going to be very interesting, because there has been a lot of self-discovery in finding peace in a new way of being. They say, old dogs, new tricks. Dude, you're never an old dog, because you're getting new tricks all the time. And it's whether or not you choose to wrestle with them, I think. Because I feel like I'm an old mom at 34, oh my God. But I'm so used to being who I was before, and how do I now make sense of this new reality? And so I think I'm gonna write a lot about that. Yeah. Anything? But we'll see, who knows? I say that, and then there'll be no songs about that on the record, and people are gonna be like, what the hell? Or did you do it or not? Did you do the self-work, Rebecca? Yeah, we'll see.
Well, on that note, maybe we hear another tune?
Yeah, let's do it. Speaking of, I think let's do If God Is a Woman.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
If God is a woman, the devil is too. You better get down on your knees. I'm gonna pray for you, pray for you. Get down on your knees, pray for you. 'Cause heaven and hell hath no fury. Better watch what you do. I'm gonna pray for you. Blessed be my haters. I love to hear them talk. I make waves like an alligator. Water through the swamp, Y'all, I'm gonna walk on water. If God is a woman, the devil is too. You better get down on your knees. watch what you do. Gonna pray for you, pray for you, pray for you. I said I'm fervently fanatic, I eat that fruit right off the vine. And then they say I'm problematic as I turn water into wine, into wine. Oh, gonna drink that wine. If God is a woman, the devil is too, better get down on your knees. I'm gonna pray for you, pray for you. Get down on your knees, pray for you. Oh, 'cause heaven and hell have no fury. Better watch what you do. I'm gonna pray for you. Gonna pray for you. Gonna pray for you, child. Gonna pray for you. Ooh, pray for you. Oh,
Oh, that was amazing.
Thanks.
Oh, beautiful. Actually, I want to learn more about this instrument. I heard
Yes.
that did you custom make this because of a weight constraint or something? Can you tell us about this?
Yeah, so I was playing an old vintage Rickenbacker for many years, and it's meant to be played seated, and I really wanted to stand and play, so I had this holder built that kind of mimicked the shape of my dobro so that I could stand comfortably on stage. But a Rickenbacker is made out of Bakelite, so it's very heavy, plus the additional weight of the stand. I was kind of like starting to have some back troubles, and I couldn't move around like super easily on stage. So I kind of came up with this idea that I really wanted to make a lap steel that was lighter, that sounded like the Rickenbacker, but also was just more comfortable for standing. And that hasn't been out there, you know? And so I talked with Paul Beard at Beard Guitars, and he makes just incredible slide instruments. So we partnered, and I, on the floor, I drew out the exact dimensions, in life size of what I wanted the shape to be, and what I wanted the pick guards to look like. And, we partnered with Lawler to get the horseshoe kind of pickup sound.
What's the story on this pickup?
Yeah, so it's their kind of remake of the horseshoe pickup, and we went and they custom made this for us, and so this is the guitar. So it's basically the shape of my dobro and the shape of the Rickenbacker kind of put together, and it's half the weight. It's
awesome.
it's a workhorse. It's just
She's
it's
sleek.
just been so great.
She's
She's
a sleek one,
stylish.
Yeah,
So and what is it made of? What's the material?
it's ash.
It's ash. It's beautiful. And do they make it in different colors, or is it primarily this color?
This color isn't released yet.
Ooh.
This is the green.
Limited edition.
But we also have black and white
Cool.
with the nice gold pick guards.
So how awesome has this been, creating your own signature model of it? Did you ever imagine yourself having your own signature model of an
No,
instrument?
no,
It's the
but
coolest thing ever.
it's so cool.
Yeah.
It's
I have
amazing.
Can I say something really fast? Because Megan has also been doing all the customer support for her Electroleash company.
up.
And
What?
it's so great. I hope that the internet knows that anytime anybody who's ever written, like, with some messages nicer than others to the customer support for Electroleash, it's Megan who's been fielding and
And I
managing.
write in the third person. I'm like, oh, Megan would love to.
It's like the royal we.
Really?
Yeah, so Megan, you really took the reins and just kicked all of the ass with this in conjunction with Paul. Like, you guys had been a dream team.
It's a very niche market.
Yeah, of
There's
course.
not a whole lot of us out there.
But it's so cool.
But it's so cool,
Yeah.
and I have run into people who like bring their Electroleashes out
Yeah.
to the show, and it's cool. It's been a cool process.
How freaking fun. What a wild thing to get to do. How many iterations did you make until you got to a version where you're like, this is it. This is the one.
Oh, because I think we knew what we wanted going into it. We were
Yeah.
able to get there pretty fast.
Cool.
There was only one prototype,
Wow.
and then
Wow.
we made some changes, and
Yeah.
bam.
Measure
Yeah.
twice, cut once.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
super
You
cool.
literally did. It was like when she says that she had cardboard, like life-size cardboard cutouts. It was like paper doll.
Yeah.
It was like she had different iterations of the pick guard, and she would like lay them out and like stand back on her living room floor and like look at them, and she put the other ones up, like little millimeter differences. Like
Wow.
you totally just hammered out the dream. It was really cool.
It's fun.
That's so cool. Well, I have one more thing prepared here, which is I want to play a little game.
Let's play a game.
I've got these cards here, and on each of the cards is a different person that you've interacted with in your career.
Ooh.
And what I would love to hear is either like a story or something you've learned or something you admire about each of these people. Does that sound fun?
That sounds
Sounds
fun.
great.
If we have not interacted with them, we're just gonna lie.
Yeah, please just, if you could fabricate a story,
Yes.
that would be excellent.
Go, Megan, go.
T-Bone Burnett.
Oh,
Yeah.
Oh, we've been working with T-Bone for over a decade now.
Yeah.
I met him through Elvis Costello, and got to play on. He was producing the new Basement tapes, and we got to come in on the last day of recording for that record, and met T-Bone and got to sing and play some. He is just the best at bringing people together. Like, he is just an amazing producer, and he knows the right people to put in the right seats, and then he lets the magic happen. That's what I love about him as a producer, is he's not in there micromanaging everything. You know, he kind of is the measure twice, cut once kind of a guy, where he just brings people in and then lets them do their thing, and he has a lot of like trust for people. So it's been really, really amazing to work with him many times over the years.
king of chemistry.
Yeah.
That's cool. You got any good T-Bone stories?
I'm gonna tell because I think T-Bone is so widely lauded, and it's true because he is a darling. I have a sort of a little bone to pick with T-Bone. Actually.
Oh, let's
a
hear
little
it.
T-Bone pick
We
Burnett.
got some tea. Tea for
So
the
there
tea.
was we were on stage with Ringo Starr,
Mhm.
and we were standing next to Jamie Johnson in the grand finale,
Yeah.
and we had this amazing sing on Yellow Submarine.
Mm.
And it was sort of a unique moment because we were kind of at the end of the line, and there weren't enough microphones for everybody.
Mm.
And so Jamie Johnson was standing next to my sister and I.
Oh, you're really dishing on
Let's
T-Bone.
go, let's go. And he doesn't care. The internet doesn't care. Don't use this as the soundbite for the clickbait of the interview.
It's going straight to the front.
But there weren't enough mics, and Jamie, we don't know him very well, but he was sort of being understated. It didn't seem like he really was like dying to sing into a microphone on Yellow Submarine. Jamie, if that's not true, DM us and let us know. Of course, Jamie Johnson's gonna be sliding into DMs. But there weren't enough mics, and so T-Bone saw that Jamie didn't have a microphone, and Megan and I each had a microphone. And T-Bone came over, and he took the mic out of my sister's hand and sort of gestured that we should share as sisters and girls do.
Yep.
Share your fries,
Yeah.
share your microphone, and pass the mic to Jamie.
That was one of the
And
more
I have-
awkward moments.
You're like, I guess I won't. be
And
sad.
I was looking at and I love T-Bone, and I was looking at him. If my eyes could have, that was the sharpest little daggers of eyes, straight for the jugular.
Wow.
So that's a T-Bone story for you.
What a sick burn.
That's sick burn.
It's a good story. You want to draw another one?
Yes.
Go.
Oh, this one might be familiar.
Oh, my baby! The card says Tyler Bryant, and this is my rock and roll sweetheart for life. Funny enough, actually, another kind of funny burn story that he never lets me live down is that the music industry, it's small. Like, the world is a very, very small place when you're kicking around, like, come to find out, you know? And so before he and I'd ever met, I was actually given a copy of his CD by a publicist that worked for Larkin Poe, and it also had previously worked for Tyler Bryant and the Shakedown. Shout out Jen. She was the original, I guess really, she was sort of like the original Cupid. And she gave me his record. And I may or may not have popped it in the CD player of my car, because I had a car that had a CD player still. And I listened to it and I was like, this has so much guitar. And I was like, yeah, he can really play, but like, so much. And I put it in my glove box and I did not listen to the whole CD.
Wow.
Because I got through like 2 tracks.
Scandalous.
Have you told him this before?
Oh no, he knows.
She still hasn't listened to the record to
and
this
this
day.
is how he
She hasn't finished
No.
it.
I know, right? Come to find out, I was still entering my appreciation for blues guitar. And legitimately, he is one of my favorite guitarists.
Yeah. Yeah, he's incredible.
Especially as a slide player. I think Tyler is a very underrated slide reso player.
Yeah.
Maybe not underrated, but I feel like people typically relate him to the Stratocaster as a Texan, clearly.
Yeah.
But my personal point of view in the studio, being able to sit between Megan on her lap steel and Tyler on a resonator and hearing them play together, slide, that's like, that's my dream.
That's
so
pretty
yes,
epic.
Tyler Bryant, you are immortal.
He's the best. He really is. Like, we have such a great
He's
working
okay.
relationship.
He's all right.
Let's be real.
I also have a lot of respect for him coming in and co-producing with us. 2 sisters. That's like a tight relationship to kind of come into.
Yeah.
And he handles it very gracefully.
Yeah.
You know, when we're like doing our nitpicking thing, he just sits back and kind of like just lets it happen respectfully, you know?
Never plays the therapist.
He naturally knows how to lovingly detach. He'd be like, all right, I'm gonna do crossfades. Y'all work out your shit.
Sick.
And then I sit back lovingly while they have their spouse spats.
Oh, you know it.
So poor Rebecca, if there's a fight to be had, she's probably in it.
Yeah.
Because she's either fighting with her husband or
Which way?
Got
Hang on a second. Who's the
opponents.
constant
Yeah.
here? Oh my God.
hey.
The problem is me. Oh no. Anyway.
I love that. Cool. I love that. Well, we only have one card left here, and this is a recent one.
Oh yes.
Joe Bonamassa.
You just put out a track with him, right? I saw it
did.
on mid-November or something.
We
so I didn't
did.
know how much you
Yes.
interacted with him. Give him
Joe,
the
we have had the good pleasure of having a lot of interaction with Joe over the years, specifically because I think that he is such a force for good in the blues community for providing unbelievable opportunities for up-and-coming blues artists with the variety of touring opportunities that he has, from hosting festivals to doing cruises. Like, some of the first well-paying gigs that we received as Larkin Poe, like really well-paying gigs, we were given through Joe, coming to play on his cruises, being offered to come and support him on different cool gigs. And that, I think, is something that I have so much respect for. Like, when you really pay it forward to the next
He supports.
generation
He really does.
of blues artists. Yeah, major respect for Joe, and not just because he's a very charismatic, cool dude and an impeccable player, but also because he also, I think, really embodies an artist owning not only their artistry, but how to be an entrepreneur. I really appreciate the fact that he, is an artist that tours with a semi with his face on the side of it. And he built that business. Him and his manager, they built an unbelievable business. And I love the fact that he
bets on himself.
He bets on himself, and he
Yeah.
empowers other artists. He's like, hey, you can do it. Like, you can be smart with your money. You don't have to be like, a traditional artist and, checked out or tuned out. Like, it's cool to have your finger on the pulse of your business. I really respect that about him.
100%. Yeah. No shade to throw on Joe Bonamassa.
Zero shade.
Only the other two.
Wait, what dirt can we dig? Joe, hold on. Loading.
Yeah.
No, actually, legitimately, we've only had really great times with Joe.
I love that.
He's a sweetheart.
The latest track that you put out with him was so killing. It's like really, really
Thanks.
lovely. Was that a live recording? What was the?
No, unfortunately, we
had the
weren't
energy.
able to. We kind of snuck in under the wire with that recording, so we
Yeah.
did it remotely.
Cool.
But what a big undertaking! Like
Yeah.
when you look at the list of artists that are featured on that project,
Incredible.
they dug really deep. Everybody really came together
Yeah.
in order to honor such an incredible legacy.
Well, super cool. Well, thanks for playing the little game here.
Thank you. That was super fun.
Do you have any other Joe stories? No.
Were you gonna actually? Was there anything that you were gonna say off the
Like,
record?
well, now that
Dishing?
it's-
No.
Yeah,
No.
We got some dish out the tea a little bit. Well, amazing. I wonder if we might wrap up here on another tune.
Yeah.
Sure. What would you like to
Absolutely.
do?
Why don't we play the last track? I know it's
Yes.
the one you
I love
requested.
this tune.
This is the last track from Bloom. It's a song called Bloom Again.
You ready?
Who won the fight? Did we both lose? The same old excuse. I'm worn out and tired of crossing lines again and again. We know where we've been. Can't leave the past behind. Don't close the door. My heart can't take more in between us. Here comes the rain. It's always the same. Can our love bloom again? The darkest of nights, we pushed and we pulled. I acted so cruel. Why did I need to see you cry before I could feel what you felt was real? Let's try something new this time. Don't close the door. My heart can't take more in between us. Here comes the rain. It's always the same. Can our love bloom again? Open the door. We both know there's more in between us. Here comes the sun. I know you're the one, and I love the human element right there. There we go.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, guys. Thanks for coming on. And before we wrap up, is there anything else that you want to share with folks who are watching?
No, just that, this past year supporting Bloom was so incredible, and so many people came out to support, and we always super, super appreciate people listening and caring about our little slice of life.
And I would like to say we're all artists. I think that we are all, to be reminded that we all have the power to write the stories that we want to write. Like, we're all out here dreaming together. So if you don't like your story, change your story. Write your story.
It's a lot of wisdom.
You're the author. You're the songwriter. Get after it.
Well, thank you so much for your time and for being here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.